Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. April is Autism Acceptance Month. World Autism Day was on April the 2nd. Utah Jazz assistant coach Scott Morrison organized an Autism Acceptance Night for their home game at the Delta Center. This initiated a league-wide campaign across the National Basketball Association, and Scott is here to talk about it. Hey, Scott, thank you for making the time this morning. Nice to have you along.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Good morning.
So what motivated you to start the campaign?
Basically, my wife, Suzanne, and I, we just wanted to do something to try and, raise some awareness and possibly raise some money down the line for autism-related initiatives and families and kids in need. We've been all over the place, to be honest. The last couple of years, we were in Boston for the start of my MBA career and then spent a year in Perth, Australia. Came home to Canada for a little bit of time in between, and then now in Utah. And we've seen all different levels of healthcare and health plans and therapy options and things like that. So we know how hard it can be to navigate not only the path and the choices you have to make when you have a child with an autism diagnosis, but also the costs that can be associated with it. So we wanted to do something to try and just start chipping away and help as best we could.
You alluded to it there, the impact of autism on your family and your own family life. How much did that end up spurring the creation of a foundation and working together with league partners?
Well, the initial thing was just to draw some awareness and maybe utilize the NBA and its reach to spread the message of inclusion and kindness and things like that. So we had the idea of getting a few of my friends who were head coaches in the league to wear these customized shoes in April. That was back in September of last year. So I reached out to the handful of guys that I knew personally. They agreed to wear the shoes. It was going to be a small thing that we were going to do in April. And then I asked the Coaches Association that we're all part of to just maybe put out a tweet or a little story or something when the time came. And they said, hey, why don't we try to get all the coaches to wear them? So we sent out a letter to every coach, and they all signed on. And during that first week of April, each coach wore the shoes for 2 or 3 games and got a lot of attention, a lot of positive feedback from both the NBA community, local markets, and then the autistic community of people just sending us messages, thanking us, and saying how much they appreciated seeing the coaches wearing the shoes.
I need to borrow your eyesight for a second. I'm legally blind over here. I can tell there's a bit of an intricate design on the shoe, but I need your eyesight and words to help describe them a little bit.
Sure, I'll describe it for you. I'm going to hold it up too for those that can see the screen. But basically, every shoe has the same logo on the outside where the Nike swoosh would be. It's I guess like a rainbow infinity symbol with an arrow on the end pointing upward, and that kind of represents the community, but also our To the Max Foundation, which is that's like our I guess home symbol. Then each shoe is customized based on the team. So I'm holding up right now the Denver Nuggets shoe. It's already signed by Coach Malone. I chose Denver because it was the easiest one to reach, but also I just finished watching our fellow Canadian Jamal Murray hit a buzzer beater last night to beat the Lakers. So for this particular shoe, there's 3 colors on the toe, kind of all blended in. On the back heel, where the Nike Air symbol would be, the same 3 colors. On the sole of the shoe, underneath the infinity logo, is To the Max, and then on the inside of each shoe is the words acceptance, and on the other shoe it says inclusion. And that swoosh on the Nike swoosh on the inside is also painted and blended in with the 3 colors. So the artist JSM 801 in Utah did a great job with each shoe. He's a kind of a big time guy in the shoe customization world. He does a lot of the NFL Cleats for Cause stuff, and he happens to have a daughter with special needs as well. So he was a perfect fit when we came across each other to be the artist for this program.
I can tell the idea was rooted in a humble cause and humble beginnings, but how did it feel to see so many partners want to be a part of this and grow and expand the movement? Because to build a custom shoe is really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy how it all came about, to be honest. Like I said, it was going to be just a few guys wearing them, not a big deal at all, and maybe just something that we could start with, trying to make a little bit of a difference. And then it came into, something a lot bigger, and it was really heartwarming. I still get a little bit emotional thinking about it. I remember the first couple of days when we sent the letter out to all the coaches, and just how fast they all responded with their shoe size and willingness to be part of it. And then to see, the major networks like TNT and ESPN showcase the shoes during the games that the coaches were wearing them was also heartwarming, and just kind of tugged at your heartstrings a little bit, because I know how much our little guy Max has been through to just meet everyday challenges that he goes through, and then to see that he's already making a difference at a young age in this world is really important to us, and um, just made us feel good that everyone was willing to jump on this cause, because it's a big population. There's a lot of people out there that don't know about what's going on with diagnosis and therapies and things like that. And I knew nothing about autism when Max was diagnosed. So just anything we can do to kind of spread the word. And my wife has done a great job making sure that she's researched, the terminology and the symbols that autistic individuals prefer to use. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback on that too. So I'm proud of her for all the work that she's done on this campaign.
What happens to the shoes now? You showed off that awesome shoe signed by Coach Malone of the Nuggets. What happens to the shoes now?
So any coach that wants to can send them back. We've gotten about 25 shoes back from throughout the league, and I'm probably guessing the rest will come in as well. The NBA and Sotheby's have a partnership to auction off items. They're going to take all the shoes and auction them off, likely around the end of the playoffs, around conference finals time. So we're going to be posting on our website and on our Instagram, and the NBA will be advertising it as well. How to and when you can bid on these shoes, and all the money will go to our foundation, which then in turn will be used to help families and kids and adults with autism, just be a little bit help to take on some of those challenges that they have.
Any word on whether or not there might be commercially available shoes as well, a mass printing or a mass manufacturing?
So we never really thought about that when we started the campaign this year, but we've gotten a lot of questions like that. People wanting to buy the shoes in their size, or buy them for their kids, or support the foundation by buying the shoes. So next year, I think we may try and do something, if we can get Nike on board and a couple other stakeholders on board, where we can maybe pre-order them, and those that want to buy them next year can get them. But I hope that we can just continue the program with the NBA first and foremost, because it has gotten a lot of attention, and I'm sure we'll raise some money through the auction to help somebody. But if we can do it on a bigger scale, that's something that we're going to try and look at over the off season.
I know sneakers and basketball culture tend to go hand in hand. Are you a sneakerhead at all?
Yeah, I was a bit more prolific before we had kids, and I had a little bit more income to spend on the sneakers. But I'm blessed to be in an industry where we get a lot of shoes and access to shoes, so I try to keep mine in good shape so that I can keep building my collection. And it's always fun when you go out and you're one of the old guys in the court, and one of the younger guys comes by and says, "Hey, nice shoes." Makes you feel a little bit younger, or cooler, or whatever the case is, even though deep down I know I'm neither of those things.
Scott, I'm grateful for your time this morning. I want to hit you with two quick basketball questions on the way out the door. You made reference to Jamal Murray hitting the game-winning shot for the Denver Nuggets last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder might win the MVP this year. How would you evaluate the state of Canadian basketball right now?
I mean, I think we're at the highest level ever. Having been around Canada basketball, and obviously growing up in Canada, and been a fan and following it for years, I think that we're at the highest level we ever have been in terms of our individual talent. And I hope that this summer we can finish at our highest ever level at the Olympics, coming off of big world championships last year. So yeah, guys like Shai and Jamal obviously are leading the charge, but there's been some other guys like Kelly Olynyk, Dwight Powell, Dylan Brooks, Corey Joseph, and the list goes on, that have been grinding it out to try and raise our standing in the league, or the league and the world. and they've done a great job. So hopefully we can finish it off this summer in the Olympics and then keep building from there.
I've got my fingers crossed to high hopes for those Paris Olympics and the basketball tournament, which is always fantastic, and it's super cool to have Canada there. Okay, Scott, I know there's only so much you can say about this. I don't want to pay a tampering fine, and I imagine you don't either, but the playoffs are going on. You've had a unique position to watch all these teams all year from a great vantage point. Which team impresses you? Who do you think stands out above the rest going into the playoffs?
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of challengers in the West, especially where we've been. Obviously, the Utah's in the Western Conference. OKC, Minnesota, Denver, I think, are the three teams to watch in the West. I think they have the most balanced team. Denver obviously has the experience of winning the championship last year. And then in the East, I have to go with Boston. Obviously, I spent 8 years in that organization and have a lot of good friends that are still there competing. I'd like to see them win. Max's godfather is actually the head coach, Joe. We're great friends too, so I'm cheering for him. And they have the best team on paper, so no pressure, but I think they'll be the ones that will come up on top when all is said and done.
And circling back to the foundation, what are the points of contact if folks want to learn more and support the To the Max Foundation?
Sure. Our website is tothemaxfoundation.org, and our Instagram is To the Max Foundation. And both of those places have links to more information, links to donate, and then eventually we'll have links to the auction once we get everything settled with Sotheby's and the NBA.
Scott, I know it's a long season, pushing through the regular season, a lot of travel, a lot of air miles. Enjoy the off season. Thank you for taking a little bit of time today.
No, thank you for having me on. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and all the best to you as well.
Right on. Thank you very much for those kind words. That's Scott Morrison, assistant coach for the Utah Jazz. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.